get situated. I just bit my lip, so now I have a lot of blood in my mouth. All right. When I was 2 years old, my parents were given some pretty devastating news. I had developed a tumor in my kidney, and I would require months of intensive treatment. While most kids my age would run for hours and play outside, I was bedridden. The hospital only had a few tapes, and it took no time at all for me to watch them over and over and grow bored with them. So my mom grabbed whatever books she could find and taught me how to read. Pretty soon I was asking, well, demanding my parents to pick up whatever comic books and magazines they could get me. I preferred those over grown-up books as they were still mostly pictures. I grew obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog comics, and Nintendo Power. I could read the words, but I still had no idea what I was saying. I just knew how to say it. After about a year of chemo, I was finally allowed to play outside and live life like a normal kid. Fuck that. Outside was hot, and there were bugs. Gross. All I wanted to do was stay inside and read, much to my dad's chagrin. He would ban books in his trucks so that I wouldn't read. I'm guessing he made fun of kids who read a lot when he was growing up, and instead of feeling bad about it, decided to make me a man. When I was grounded, I couldn't be sent to my room because there were books in there, and I wouldn't feel punished. My mom would encourage reading by having me read her a story at bedtime. It was pretty cool. The only problem was that there was a severe lack of new books and magazines coming in. I grew bored with all of the crap that was lying around the house, and I still wasn't quite ready for grown-up books. Long gone were the days of Nickelodeon magazine and Disney adventures. I was now in a stilted age of shitty Arthur books with positive lessons and illustrated Bible stories. I wanted comics, real comics, with speech bubbles. I didn't want morality. I wanted excitement. I know now that I couldn't have anything new because my parents were still being crushed by mountains of medical bills, and their marriage was starting to crack under the pressure. But at the time, I had no idea why the flow of new content had ceased. I knew so little about the world that I couldn't even comprehend the sheer amount of knowledge I was missing out on. I just knew that I didn't have what I wanted, and I needed to come up with a way to get it. Fast forward a year. As one does as a child, I started to make more and more sense of how things worked. If you wanted something, you had to pay for it with money that you got from a job. You had to be a grown-up to have a job, and that was going to take forever. I couldn't wait that long. The magazines I wanted were monthly. I was missing out on content all of the time. That's when I asked myself, Connor, are you going to be one of those ankle-biting shit-kickers who gets left in the dust? Or are you going to pull yourself up by the Velcro straps on your light-up shoes and take the world by those weird things under your peener that no one will talk to you about? Peener. One of the few things I knew about money was that it took two shapes, paper and plastic. My mom had told me that the plastic was called a credit card, and it worked by having a set of numbers that tell store owners how much money you have. She must have been so happy to have a curious child. What a stupid dumbass. I remember seeing the phrase credit card number on those subscription cards that came in the magazines. That's when I got to work. The next time I went to the store with my mom, I looked at my favorite magazines while she loaded the groceries onto the conveyor belt. Good. She was distracted. I grabbed the latest issues of Disney Adventures and Nickelodeon magazine and took a subscription card from each and put them in my pocket. No one noticed. To make things seem natural, I begged my mom for both magazines, and she said, "You can only have one." What a maroon. This was going better than I expected. I coyly read my new magazine on the ride home, chuckling to myself at my own genius. My mom looked back at me in the rearview mirror and smiled. "What are you laughing at, you goofball?" Oh, fuck! She was on to me. Time to throw her off the trail. There was a bug, I thought. What if we took it home and, what if we ate it and then pooped it out? I don't think she found it funny. We finally get home and I ran to my room and hid the subscription cards. It wasn't time to strike. Not yet. So I waited until the next time my parents were doing yard work. I was still a little boy, so I got to sit inside while they sweat like a couple of chumps. That's when I sprung into action. I went into the living room where my mom left her purse and grabbed her wallet. I opened it up and grabbed the card I had seen her use time and time again. I grabbed a pen and set to work. I filled out both of the cards and put everything back where it belonged. Now I just had to wait for an opportunity to put them in the mailbox, and then it was Magazine City for little baby Con Con. After a few days, I had my opportunity. I ran to the box and placed the cards inside and felt pretty good about myself. I knew it was wrong or I would have told my parents about it, but I didn't care. Those magazines were going to be mine. I went to my room to lie down and smugly bask in my genius-level intellect. My plan was foolproof, and in a few weeks, I got my magazines and got away with everything. Just kidding. About 2 hours later, there was a knock on the door. As I always did, I ran to the door to watch my parents open it and see who the visitor was. It was the mailman. You see, I may have been able to read. I may have been able to use sleight of hand to steal a subscription card. I may have been such a genius that I knew how to enter credit card information. But I had awful penmanship. The mailman took one look at my zeros, the actual size of Fruit Loops, and smelled bullshit. He handed them to my mom to ask for verification, and she promptly told him that no, she did not order these, and thank you very much for bringing these to me. She shut the door slowly, but turned to me like a bat out of hell. My ass just got grounded. My ridiculously meticulous planning had been for naught. After a brutal paddling, I was exiled to the streets and forced to play with my cousins and the kids from the neighborhood. I couldn't be sent to my room. After all, my magazines were in there.